you do every day? How much would you get paid? What would you look for in a new position if you decided to make a change? We'll explore what you really want from your work in this episode of Career Advantage. Think for a moment about a job you've had that you especially liked. What was it about that job that you enjoyed? Was it the salary or something else? Maybe great coworkers, challenging responsibilities, or a beautiful work environment.
I lived in Costa Rica for a year and a half, and at the end of that time, I was a World Teach Volunteer teaching English down there. And I was hired to be one of the trainers for the next group. So basically, it was a job where I had to go out into the field and find families for these people to live with, and set up, meetings with principals all over the country. I loved that. Because it was a whole array of different skills, talking to people, working with people, setting things up, organizing it, and then implementing this whole training project with the people, the trainees. So it was great. I loved it. It was like one of my highlight jobs that I can remember. Didn't get paid hardly anything, but I loved it.
Now think about a job that you didn't like. Did the same factors, salary, coworkers, responsibilities, or environment have an influence?
But one job I had, I really primarily ended up not liking it due to the atmosphere. And I felt like the atmosphere was really oppressive. Like there was this environment it was really oppressive. I didn't feel like I could speak about what was really going on for me, like truthfully, like if there was a problem. Highly political spot, not my position, but the place was highly political. And I didn't feel valued, I really felt that I was sort of at the low end of the scale and pretty expendable, like, well, whatever, if you're not going to work out, we'll get somebody else.
If you are in a job where you feel that the environment and the work you're doing is conflicting with your values, you're going to be drained before you go into work that day because you know it's not going to be a pleasant environment for you.
There's much more to a career than just landing a job. How you think about your work is affected by many factors, and often the least important factor affecting job satisfaction is your salary.
Sometimes people just make decisions about the careers based on what's involved right now, what is trending, what pays the most. And one of the things that I feel very strongly about that's not the way to make a decision about career.
People are most motivated when they're doing work that engages their interests, personality, and skills.
Very important for people to find out what their values, skills, interests, and their needs. And many a times, what I do is that I help them integrate all of the results of the assessments. And then based on all of that, we begin to brainstorm possible occupations.
As you do your research, you're probably seeing how some careers are a better match with your personal career profile than others.
What do you think of this as you look at it, as you look at where the skills are clustered? Does this look right? Does it really fit you?
Yes, it does. It sort of eliminates the meandering through the job, meandering of what I really want to do, because it says right on paper, this is where you're strong, this is where you're solid, but your strength overrides the solid. And it flows with nice length when you think about what you really want to do, what's going to bring you happiness,
Once people have started this assessment process of looking at their skills and their interests and values, they find that they have a lot of information. And one of the first things that we encourage them to do is to start prioritizing that information. You may have a list of 15 values, but there may really only be 5 that are the most important to you. You may have a longer list of skills, but you want to break that down and prioritize it into the ones that are the most important. Now, what most people find is they've got some kind of way of documenting this information. They're keeping a notebook, they're keeping a journal of some kind, so that they can keep track of these lists that they're making, because it's a lot of list making as well, and keep track of what their priorities are. As they're looking at occupations and looking at jobs, they can refer back to what they said their priorities were and see how those opportunities match their priorities.
Which I really love my job now. I'm not doing something that I really don't like and that I have to motivate myself to like every day. I did the research on the company and I feel, really glad and, excited, that I'm here. So it really is, a pleasure for me to come to work today.
Today we're going to take a closer look at factors which affect your job satisfaction. We'll use the information that you've learned about the jobs you've researched to help narrow your options. By the end of this episode, you'll have a model that you can use to evaluate your career options.
What do you do once you've got these lists? What do you do with these priorities? If you are using them to make an occupational choice, if you're using them to make a decision, one of the first things you want to do is look at how you can combine them in different ways and come up with ideas of what kinds of jobs, what kinds of occupations would fit this profile. You've really created a kind of template, and you're looking at, okay, if I took my top 3 values, my top 3 skills, my top 3 interests, and kind of mixed and matched them, what types of work would incorporate those? What types of work would meet those? You've really created a kind of template, and you're looking at, okay, if I took my top 3 values, my top 3 skills, my top 3 interests, and kind of mixed and matched them, what types of work would incorporate those? What types of work would meet those?
You're taking this course to learn how to find careers that really excite you. In other words, you're trying to find work that you're motivated to do.
So if you have a key value of family, then as you are exploring the occupation, as you are exploring places that you might want to work, you're going to be asking people questions. How is family valued here? What kinds of personnel policies do you have that support this value? Talking to people in the field and saying, how do you spend time with your family? How do you make that value fit in? Or alternatively, asking people in the field, what values do the most successful people in this field typically hold? And that will give you a sense of, does what they say match the values that you hold?
Let's look at career options through another lens, the 3 C's. Jerry Bloomberg and Margaret Dodge Holden, authors of the Women's Job Search Handbook, identify content, conditions, and compensation as 3 essential aspects of every job. They define content as the tasks and abilities you want to use regularly. Conditions are those features of your job, aside from salary, that make you want to go to work. Compensation refers to how much you need to earn, not just to pay the bills, but for your own self-esteem. The content, conditions, and compensation you require should reflect your personal career profile and will become the filter you use to evaluate your job choices. During the rest of this episode, I'll guide you in creating a chart on which to plot your preferences for each of the 3 C's: content, conditions, and compensation. No one aspect is more important than another. Let's start by looking at content. It's basically what you do in your job. You'll compare what you know about yourself to the content of a given career. You'll compare your values, your skills, and your knowledge and interests. Let's start with values. Go back to your personal career profile and remember how you've described yourself. For example, you might define yourself as hardworking, honest, and creative. You want to find both an occupation and an employer that values these qualities.
I was a resident assistant back in college for 2 years, and I really liked that. It was a little taxing on the hours because you were felt like you were babysitting. But I liked it because of the fact that I was interacting with people, and it was a college environment, a lot of young people, and it was just the whole fact that I was considered a leader on my building, on my floor. And I like to feel that way. I like to feel that people look up to me and that I have a responsibility.
Go back to your personal career profile and record your top values on your chart. Skills include specific ones that you must have in order to perform the job tasks, such as computer skills, as well as the basic skills that employers expect, such as interacting with people. When you're examining a career's content, you're comparing your favorite skills and abilities with those required by the job.
I'm anxious to get on to the actual doing of what I'm wanting, my career. It's okay to be in school, it's okay to learn and get the education. I'd kind of like to apply that. I'd like the opportunity where I can use that. I'm thinking about tutoring high school and junior high school students. They have a program here at Berkeley that allows students to be interns and to go out and to tutor these kinds of programs. I'd like to try that so I can hone my skills. I can get accustomed to being student-teacher relationship.
Go back to your personal career profile to record the skills you want to use in your career on your 3Cs chart. Knowledge and interests make up the body of information you've learned regarding a particular topic or subject area. The interest section of your personal career profile indicates the areas of knowledge you already know you want to use. Ask yourself, what have I learned that I want to use in my job every day? Part of being satisfied in your occupation is really liking the content of your work.
People need to know what business they're in. That is, are you in the video making business, or are you in the training business, or are you in the education business, or are you in the getting people back to work business? Now those are different businesses. So when I say to a person, what business are you in, I don't mean what business is your employer in. I mean you. Your little you and company, what business is it in?
If you decide to go into social service, you may be happier in a center that works against domestic violence than in an organization for adult literacy. Both are social